What's up nerds, how's it going? It's Chris here from Pack King Nerds and we're back again with another video, and today's video is going to be looking at some of the best tips for deck building in Marvel Duel in 2020. Let's get into it. In this video we're going to be looking at some of the top tips from the best players who have all achieved Conqueror in Marvel Duel and are Marvel Duel pros. These are pros picked by the game developers who are incredible at the game, and I've asked them a question about how to build the best deck. And so we're going to be going through some of the tips that they're talking through in this video. And before we get into this video, if you are going to get any value out of this, if you're desperate to know how to build a deck in Marvel Duel in 2020, then please like and subscribe to this channel. And hopefully you're going to find out some tips that are really going to help you in this coming year in Marvel Duel. All the links to all the pros will be down in the description. Please make sure to go and like and subscribe to their YouTube channels, follow them on Twitch and Twitter. All the links will be down below. These guys have so much knowledge and information about the game and are really dedicated to getting to the highest point in the game. So make sure you check those guys out. Now, let's get into the tips. Tip number 5, which you're already doing, by the way, is watching people on YouTube, watching how pros play the game, watching how people have dissected each card and looked at all the combos, watching other people play and the decisions that they make in every situation, every scenario in a game will help you play better. Crisis Jake and Horrible Chopstick, which are two of the pros we'll be talking with in this video, are fantastic players. So go check their Twitch out and see how they react on a turn 4 when they are up against an ego, and maybe that'll help you when you turn into turn 4 and you see an ego. Tip number 4 is really simple, but we're going into the deck building stuff. Now, tip 4 is all about deck flexibility. How flexible is your deck? Do you just have a route 1 in which you need to win by using, let's stay on ego theme, do you need to win by buffing up your ego? What happens if he doesn't turn up in the shop? Are you just going to spend all of your gems just refreshing the shop? You then fall behind and everyone else has a stronger board because they hit the cards that they needed to, or they went to plan B. Every deck should have a plan A, a plan B, and maybe even a plan C. We spoke to Crisis Jake and he said one of the main things for him was having a shell of a deck that he could then put in ego and whiplash. And so, for example, if ego didn't turn up but whiplash did, he would then change his whole board onto whiplash. He'd buy the whiplash and everything else would then surround whiplash, and he'd be building for that final board. Whereas if ego turned up, maybe he'd go for ego instead. Make sure that your deck is flexible and can go in any direction needed. Tip number 3 is kind of a weird one that we didn't think of. This again comes from Crisis Jake, and he said that crafting cards is super important. Now you might think, of course it is, I always craft the ones I need for a certain deck. Here's a different idea. Maybe let's craft the cards that we think we'll need in the future, the cards that have just so much value. Red Guardian from Guardians of the Galaxy deck. It's a 3-drop and it can grow so fast. Maybe that's a priority for you to craft those sort of cards. Or maybe even a Surtur, who end game can just win. Just that is a win condition in itself. If your opponent's on like 1 health and just you play Surtur, you play some Hush Nows and you get rid of your board for a quick win. So maybe Surtur's a high priority card to craft. And all of these crafted cards will fit into most of your decks. They will fit into almost all of the decks that you want to do. And if they get nerfed, you can sell them for exactly the same amount of dust and crystals that you crafted them with. Crafting cards is important. Make sure you use your crafting materials wisely. Tip number 2. Favorites are not snap picks. Now what I mean by this is we all have our favorite cards, our cards that we love how they interact. Maybe you love ego and you love how he just sort of takes the power and armor off the cards that he destroys. Maybe you love that. But what if Ego's not in the meta? Or maybe it's a smaller card. Maybe your favorite Marvel character is Rocket Raccoon, and you want a 4-star Rocket Raccoon in every time you play. Now, the most important thing in playing Marvel Duel is enjoying the game. Yeah, you can climb ladder and you can play high-level games, but the most important thing is enjoying the game. And if you're only going to enjoy the game if you've got your Rocket Raccoon in your deck, go ahead. But if Rocket Raccoon isn't in the meta, if he doesn't work towards the end goal of your deck, maybe cut him. If there's no room for him, maybe cut him. And it's okay. It's okay to play a deck where the main win condition is a card you've never heard of, or a character you've never heard of. If you haven't seen the Iron Man films, you won't know who Whiplash is. But Whiplash is the meta right now. So balance it up. Make sure that you have a balance of competitive deck and also fun cards to play with. Tip number 1. We spoke to 3 different pros: Horrible Chopsticks, Crisis Jake, and Excelsorph. Now, we spoke to these 3 people. They're amazing at the game. Like we said at the beginning, really, really good players, high conquerors, and they make great videos and streams too. And each one of them said that the most important thing for you to do in a deck building is to have one with a goal. Your deck should have an end game. It should have a win condition. It should have a way that you want to win and end the game. What's the most ideal board that you're going to have that's going to be better than everyone else's? Start backwards. Start at the last round, the last board of the match, and then work your way backwards. How are you going to achieve that? How are you going to survive long enough to get to that board state? What cards do you need to buy before to get there? And then add in cards that are going to help you survive long enough to reach that board. Are there cards that you need to counter other people's counters? For example, our Black Widow and Throg deck that we put a video up, that will be up there. We did a video, and as we were testing the deck, we were testing it for quite a while. We did some streams on YouTube where we tested it. We would find maybe that the cards that would counter it would be Web Snare, because we'd have Throg on the right hand side, the far right. Web Snare would take the shield away and stun Throg, completely dismantling the deck. So now we know, as we play it, we need to put him in one. So maybe is there a card out there that would counter Web Snare? Have a think. Have a think in your deck. Are there counters to counters that you need? What cards are you going to need to make sure that final board is unbeatable? Guys, there are 5 tips. We have one final bonus tip, and that bonus tip is to make sure to follow, subscribe, check out all the pros that helped us put this video together. And big thank you to Crisis Jake, Horrible Chopsticks, and Excelsorph as well. All their links will be down below, so please make sure to check it out. If you got any value, if you learned anything new, if you're going to take any of the information we put out to you today into your deck building, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much, guys.